Hello everyone, and welcome to our weekly early comics review video. I'm Jason,
I'm Andy.
and we're with Infinity Flux Comics out of Chattanooga, Tennessee, where every single Monday, after all the comics have arrived at our store and we've bagged and boarded and sorted them, we divide up the ones we most want to read, the ones that we think people want to hear the most about. We read them, and then we do this video, which we call our spoiler light video. So what we're going to do is we're going to tell you if any of these have major first appearances, sort of collectability reasons you might want these. But more than that, we're going to tell you more about them than if you have just read the ads on them. You know, it's like hearing from your friend who's actually seen the movie. He doesn't want to ruin it for you, but he's going to tell you more than what the very brief trailer, failed to explain well. That's sort of our goal every single week. This is a big week.
It's a very, very big week.
Yeah, so we're actually going to review, between the two of us, 30 comics. We're going to show all their variants and the incentives. So without further ado, let's dive in.
Yeah, even still, also, there's more books than this.
That is true.
So
we
if you don't see
the majority.
the majority. But if there's something that you're like, I thought this was coming out, chances are it probably is, but we only have so much time.
Yes.
So, starting off with not a new number one, but kind of. This is Deathstroke Inc. number 10.
Beginning of a big new arc.
Big new arc. This is Deathstroke year 1. So much in the style, not the style, but the spirit of Batman year 1. We have Deathstroke year 1. And you can imagine what this is going to be about. This is the kind of origin story of Deathstroke. Now, this doesn't go all the way back to his childhood or anything. This actually starts when he is being experimented on, you could say. It's a little hazy because he has one of those classic, like, wake up moments and wake up and immediately attack when he's in this facility. But the people he's around say, no, you volunteered for this. And he's like, I don't remember volunteered for this. But apparently they're experimenting on him with this drug that is supposed to turn him into a super soldier. We kind of know how that turns out. It actually is pretty successful. Everyone that's taken it before has died, but it's working on him, but it's making him very weak to begin with. He's very sickly. But Slade Wilson, Deathstroke, does have a family that's kind of watching out for him. He visits his wife and his son, but as you can imagine, it doesn't go too well. Is the drug kind of affecting him? Is the drug affecting him too much? Or is it bringing out his inner personality? When he receives his first assignment, I'll just say, is he going to be a father or a mercenary? Well, he's not called Deathstroke, greatest father in the world. So you'll have to read it to find out. But I think this is an awesome idea. I'm very excited to see where this story goes, especially because Deathstroke currently, it would be hard to do a current story with him because he is big into Dark Crisis. Yep. He just came out of the Shadow War. There's a lot going on with him, so it's cool to go back and have something new to read. That may inform him later.
Yeah, he's sort of a big villain in Dark Crisis, so if they kept it up in his book, it'd be revealing a lot of surprises they'd rather have him spring on the new heroes. So it's cool that they took a moment to breathe and tell a story no one's told before, and that, I can't wait to read later.
Yeah, you even see, like, early versions of his costume, almost like how Batman goes out with just, like, a ski mask on. Deathstroke has something very similar to that, so... really good. If you haven't been reading this series, this is actually a great issue to start with. It feels like, this could have been a new number 1 or a mini series or something. So Deathstroke Inc. number 10, great read. And we have a variant for it. I guess we're going to see the story how he becomes this grumpy old man sitting on his porch. This is the Tau variant.
It's a really amusing cover. I had forgotten about it until I saw it in the box when it arrived, and I was like, oh yeah, that's great.
You know exactly what kind of person that is right there.
Okay, so the first one I'm going over is one I was highly anticipating, Iron Cat number 1. So this is going to be a 5-issue miniseries by Jed MacKay. He is the writer on Black Cat, one of my favorite reads. And first thing to tell you, this has the first appearance of a new Iron Cat. So there's only been one. That's because Felicia Hardy had the armor built, and she wore it for just a little while, and she actually ended up destroying it. So this is a new Iron Cat. Let me tell more. But first appearance of a new Iron Cat, the person in the armor isn't necessarily a new character. I won't confirm that, but it is definitely their first time wearing the armor, and maybe even after this 5-issue series, maybe they'll continue being it. Who knows? So past that, what's going on in this is Felicia Hardy is doing a diamond heist. Now, she's not doing it for the money. This is more the one that got away. Now, why would she care about some diamond that she tried to steal before? Because it was sort of a defining moment in her training by the Black Fox. He is the person who trained her. So as this is happening, meanwhile, somebody is stealing the Iron Cat armor. Like Tony Stark kind of contacts her, assuming it's her. So they think it's her stealing the armor, which is a good assumption. I mean, she is a thief. She is the one who kind of made it and all. But it isn't her. And, of course, this new person in the Iron Cat armor is going to show up, attack her, is also after the diamond, is after revenge. Now, who's in the suit? Why are they doing it? If you read this issue, by the end, you will know it all. They do the reveal. They're not holding out all 5 issues to reveal who this is or why. There's a lot of backstory told in between the moments of her doing this heist. And yes, Iron Man does get involved a little bit as well. So a really good out the gate first issue of Iron Cat #1. I like that by the end of this, you understand everyone's motivations. I can't wait to see how Felicia deals with this new character who wants her dead and is wearing very upgraded Iron Cat armor. It's much better than the first time around when she had it. So we got a lot of great variants on this one. I think everybody wanted to draw Iron Cat.
Yeah.
So this is the Ron Lim variant. Then we have the Peach Momoko variant. We have the action figure John Tyler Christopher variant. This is an action figure just waiting to happen.
Yeah.
We, of course, have the Scotty Young variant. And then we have the design variant. This is the Via variant, which we're selling while supplies last to our customers for just $10.
Now, do we find out in that where the armor is from?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, you do.
Because that was my question after previously what happened with it. Why is it,
That all is totally revealed,
cool.
Explained. Yep.
Awesome. Okay, so next up is time for my Star Wars corner, because
it's a lot of Star Wars books this week.
We had a few weeks where it felt like we had nothing, and then they like to load them all into 1 week. So this is going to be kind of rapid fire style, starting off with Obi-Wan #2. So the show just ended, but if you still have a craving for more Obi-Wan, we have this continuing series where older Obi-Wan is reminiscing, sitting in his house, waiting for a sandstorm to hit, and kind of contemplating on his journals that he's written since he was young. So this one actually really cool. It's right in the beginning, so it's not a spoiler, but he does talk about the time he faced off with Darth Maul that appeared in Rebels, where he finally killed Maul for the last time. You actually see that in comic book form now, other than just the show, so that's super cool. But then we get a story, as you can tell on the cover, of Padawan Obi-Wan with Qui-Gon going on a mission to a planet that is unusually dark. Not just in the shadow, but even their lightsabers, when they turn them on, emit almost no light. So it's very creepy. As you can tell, there is a monster in it. Very cool issue of Obi-Wan. We've got a couple of variants for it. We have of course, the Sprouse Choose Your Destiny variant. We have the Charm Pride variant, which this character is from Dr. Aphra. I'm not sure why they chose to put her on Obi-Wan. Then next up we have Han Solo and Chewbacca #3. So this one's fun, as this team of Han, Chewie, and I'm guessing we're saying this is his father. I still wonder if we're going to find out more information later on.
Still early.
It's still early in the thing, but at least right now they're acting like it's his father. And they are on the hunt for an urn from their employer. It's their employer's arch nemesis. They want the urn of his ashes. And so they are attempting to steal it, only to find out that where they thought it would be, it's not there. It has been sold. So this takes them on another trip. I like this because there's a lot of planet hopping to another planet where you actually see a scene from Crimson Reign take place from a different angle, which I think is really cool, where it kind of butts into that a little bit. And you realize that one of the things that happened in Crimson Reign is actually Han's fault from this. This issue also ends with the return of a fan favorite character. If you know the cover of the next issue, you know who it is, but I'm not going to spoil it.
I like it. All these Star Wars writers, you can tell they're all reading each other's things, and you know,
it's a very sad thing that happens too. Because if you read the Crimson Reign issue, you're like, that's a horrible thing that happens. You realize it's just Han kind of goofing off. We have some variants. So we have the Isugi variant. And then we have Dr. Aphra. This is Dr. Aphra number 21. She's been dealing with the Spark Eternal, the artifact that gives normal people Sith-like powers. And in this one, she kind of gets possessed by it. And I feel like we learned a little bit more about what it is and its ties to the dark side. Cool.
It's a great looking cover.
It's a really cool looking cover. This one was even on some spec sites for just the cover. Just how good the A cover was. Not a variant or anything, just the A. And we have a variant for this. This is the Zama variant with Sanastaros on it. And this one's very cool. This is the Lucasfilm 50th anniversary Sprouse variant, the Book of Boba Fett. I believe this is our first Fennec Shand in comics on the cover here. So just a little note about that one. And lastly, we have Star Wars Darth Vader number 24. Really cool issue that sees Vader and Sabe have teamed up to take out a corrupt governor, and Vader just goes full into it, and the governor doesn't think that one person can really do anything, and of course, this book is just about Vader just being awesome and just wiping out everything. So, fun issue there. We have the Sprouse Choose Your Destiny variant for Vader, and we have the Pride variant for Vader with Padme and all her handmaidens. So, whew.
All right, so this is not the all Star Wars show. I assure you. If you tuned in late, you might think we're just doing Star Wars here. There was just that much out this week. That is great. That is amazing. You can keep all that in your mind. But I'll tell you what Star Wars could use. Some Batman. When's Batman going to get into Star Wars?
I'm sure there's a fan film.
So I read Batman Fortress number 2. This is an 8-issue miniseries, and on the cover here we have Batman. He is in a fighter jet. It is his own though. You know, it's so close up I couldn't tell if it was, you know, like he was borrowing it from the military.
Yeah, I thought that's what it was.
It's not. You get to see it from a wider angle, and you know his technology is better than anybody else's. Yeah. He doesn't want to borrow anybody's stuff. But look at that. The members of the Justice League are flying next to him. This scene does definitely happen. It's very major in this one. So issue number 1 set up the fact that there was an alien spaceship that is in Earth's atmosphere, and it is disrupting all of the electrical currents on the planet, making communication almost impossible. It's really just messing things up. And on top of that, Superman is missing. So in the first issue, Batman had to kind of like deal with Gotham for a moment. In this issue, he has pulled together the Justice League, what members he could find, and they and the military attack the ship. They go after this ship. And I'll tell you, it's not just like a setup and at the end it's going to happen. It happens, and it is a severe battle, and not everyone makes it out of the battle in one piece. And that's what's cool about when somebody writes this, like, sort of independent of the rest of the DC Universe stories. They could do whatever they want.
Mm-hmm.
So the battle, very cool, very severe. The writer getting to do whatever they want. The alien technology is very, very advanced and can stand up to the Justice League. I should also mention this is the first appearance of 3 aliens that we meet who appear to be our major antagonists. Now, are they complete villains or not? You'll have to read and see what they're up to. By the end of this issue, you do learn a little bit more of what their motivations are, but the whole mystery is not revealed, including the whereabouts of Superman. But there is a lot more pieces added to the puzzle. So I think this is a very strong second issue of Batman Fortress. It's just one of those cool isolated stories where the writer and artist get to do whatever they want, and 8 issues is going to really let this one breathe. So that's generally what's going on in that. And we have the variant here is the Zafino variant for Batman Fortress issue number 2.
Okay, next up is a new one a lot of people probably haven't heard about. This is Redman. Now, who is Redman? He is from the creators of Ultraman. Now, what is really cool about this book is actually it's got kind of an opening paragraph talking about it. And it's one of those, like, you read it, and it's a little Blair Witch. You're like, did this really happen? Or is this... did this happen, but they're just taking this idea and turning it into a book or whatever? So in it, it says in the 70s, TVs all around Japan started showing this character Redman, which originally looked like it was intended for kids, but turned out to be way more violent and over the top than what they were used to.
That's what kids love.
Yeah, so kids probably loved it. And then it mysteriously went off the air and hadn't been seen again. Now, I'm not sure how much of that's true. I know that Redman was a very short-lived thing when it came out, and I believe it came out in the 70s. So there's some truth to it. But it also says maybe that this wasn't a show, and it was more an alternate reality that someone was filming and showing it. So, of course, that part I'm pretty sure is not true. But this issue is really cool. So it is mostly a fight scene. There is not a whole lot of dialogue, not a whole lot of, deep story or anything. It is mostly a kaiju attack where Redman comes in and just beats the snot out of these kaiju. But it does end with a thing that's kind of related to that opening paragraph where... makes me wonder, are they going to expand on this idea of maybe this is another reality and who's filming it? So this was a quick read. I actually read it twice in a row because it was so short, but the art is awesome. If you really enjoy just watching big monster fights and everything, this is highly recommended. I like it. Very different. So this is the A cover. And this is written and drawn by Matt Frank. And he does a lot of the variants as well. So we have, let's see, we have a variant by Frank where we get the TV showing Redman. We have the, stuck together, we have another Frank variant with one of the monsters. We have this one is by Witterich. Pretty cool. And also wanted to mention, this came out this week as well. It kind of fit in with the giant kaiju thing. We have Best of Godzilla from IDW. So if you just want to get more kaiju, this is cool. Collect some of the harder to get issues of Godzilla from a bunch of different stories and publishers and everything, including the one where Godzilla goes to hell, which is like a fan favorite story. So definitely pick this one up if you have not read these before, because it's really good.
That blue beam out of his mouth, it just looks so different.
Yeah, it's really cool.
It's like that's when Godzilla actually feels sick and he throws up. Okay, so you were showing off a lot of variants of Redman,
Yep.
and so now it's my turn to show off some variants,
Oh,
starting with the name of the
what a
series.
segue.
I mean, how did it take them this long to think of a comic called The Variants? So, what is this? This is a 5-issue miniseries starring Jessica Jones. In fact, on the bottom there it says a Jessica Jones mystery. This is by Gail Simone and Phil Noto. And, let's look at the people on the cover. They all kind of look like Jessica Jones, don't they? But in superhero costumes.
Mm.
So that's a bit of a hint as to what this is. I have to say that if you were somebody who used to collect like multiverse character first appearances back in like the 70s, 80s, 90s,
Yeah.
you probably had, not a tough time. Your collection was pretty small. But at this point, you're going to have to buy long box after long box because that is very, very popular right
Yeah.
now. And this is diving into it too, although I don't see where it's going yet. So in issue number 1, so Jessica Jones is getting married to Luke Cage. And while she is dealing with this, she is still not all right in her headspace. She is having these headaches and these blackouts. Meanwhile, she's still shook up from all the stuff that went down with the Purple Man. Okay, this is like, a while later. This is nearly 10 years later. And by a certain set of circumstances, you'll have to read in this, she meets another person who the Purple Man also invaded, but before her. And this person warns her that the Purple Man had a way of leaving things in her mind, like almost traps that would go off after so long. And so now Jessica Jones is way more worried about that. And again, she's having these blackouts. I mean, you get a sense Gail Simone is really building something big here. And then also these other versions of herself start showing up. Now, I'm not saying it's the ones on the cover and or anything like that. I'm not saying it gets explained in issue 1. It does not. It's kind of, you're going to have to let this one ride and read issue number 2. But I will say one maybe is a Captain America Jessica Jones from another universe.
Wow.
So if you're one of those people collecting all the multiversal things, that is in here.
You could have a league now of Miles Captain America and Spider-Gwen Captain America and so many.
Yes, for sure. So that is the premise of the variants. It is a Jessica Jones mystery, meaning it left me going, okay, I see what's happening here, but I don't know why. But she's your focal character. You got to be along for that ride. You got to discover the mystery along with her. And the fact that Purple Man probably put sort of traps in her mind, that's very, very scary.
Yeah.
He's one of the most devious villains in the history of comics, honestly. So that is, to the best of what I can do, my explanation on what's going on in the variants number 1. I'm looking forward to number 2 clearing up some things. So great storytelling and art, though. Gail Simone, she's really good at crafting and telling. Phil Noto, just excellent art from him. So here, I gotta say, here are the variants. I'm ready to stop saying that word, but we have to say it so much more for the rest of the show. So here is the Caldwell alternate cover.
Oh, there you go.
That's right.
Work around.
Here's Scotty Young. Now, this is the one I like, where he's just going on and on about he has to do a variant cover of her variant selves for a book called The Variants. So it's breaking his brain too. All he could deal with it is doing some good art to point out the situation. And then we have, this is the 1 in 25 Ashley Witter for $30. See, I didn't say it there.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Okay, so speaking of Elseworld type things, we have a new one-shot in our DC versus Vampires universe. This is DC versus Vampires Killers. So we had DC versus Vampires Hunters before that had Damian Wayne on the cover. This one is about Harley Quinn. So definitely a book to get if you've been reading the DC versus Vampires. Be confusing if you just jumped in here because this kind of takes place in the middle of everything. You have following up with Batman he had the cure to the vampire disease. Now Harley is out, fighting him. She's part of this underground resistance group against the vampires. And who shows up on her doorstep, or her underground doorstep, but Commissioner Gordon with this cure. And he's basically like, Harley, you're the only one who can get in and out of the city, and I'm trusting you with this. So, as you can imagine, maybe Harley's not the best person to trust with this, but you'll have to read it to find out, is she good enough for this job?
She gets things done in her own way.
Exactly. So, it may not be the way you expect, but by the end of this, she could be the solution for everything in this vampire world. This has a lot of fun stuff. You see that she's actually, her and Catwoman are living together. They're best buds, so it's cool to see them interact. Plus, her resistance group is made up of not only villains but also heroes, and it's cool to see kind of why those are the ones that have made it and all of that. So this was a fun issue. So definitely, if you're reading the DC versus vampires, you'll want to read this, because I feel like what happens at the end is going to be important for the story to come. And you'll probably also want to get it. One, this is a great A cover, but we gotta show off this variant. This is the Brett Booth variant.
Yep, this is the one everyone has been wanting, and if you didn't know about it, you probably want it now.
Yep, the McFarlane homage cover. But this time, Batman's looking a little creepier.
It looks great. You know, we get to see these digital, but then when they arrive, sometimes they look better or worse. This looks even better in real life.
Yeah, and we also have, on top of that, we have a 1 in 25 Pantalina variant with Harley and Catwoman that we are selling to our customers for $25.
Okay, so I read Avengers issue number 57, and so check out all the characters on this cover, but look at the guy down there towards the bottom. Who is this soldier with a weird gun with sort of an Eye of Agamotto thing on him? This is a new character. In fact, you get a sort of a new team with at least one new character, and they are basically the secret Avengers of World War II. So this issue has the first appearance of the Secret Avengers of World War II, and the main character who we follow in this one is the Sorcerer Supreme of the time. He goes by, because it's World War II and he's a soldier, he's the Soldier Supreme, and his name is Sebastian Sardos, and he's our main character in this. But there's also a World War II Ghost Rider whose vehicle is a tank. Mm. I mean, how awesome is that? Their Blade is there. My brain had trouble wrapping around that, but Blade is there, and also Man-Thing is going by War Thing, and they are the secret invaders. But you only see the other three a little bit. It's mostly you follow the Soldier Supreme, and the reason is because he has to go up against Mephisto's forces, who are trying to get the Agamotto away from him, because Mephisto is trying to stop the Avengers throughout time. And so as he's trying to make it where the Eye of Agamotto never makes its eventual journey, to where it's going to get, the Soldier Supreme is getting help from some of the modern day Avengers who are on the sidelines of this whole story, though. In fact, you hardly see any of the modern day Avengers in this, but it was a really, really cool read, great story, and some new cool characters to talk about. And so let's get some variants out here. We have, actually, this one, I just have one. The Carnero Hellfire Gala variant is the only one I have on this.
Wasn't Soldier Supreme the name of the mashup between Captain America and Doctor Strange from that?
It was, from the Infinity, the one where Gamora folded the universe in half.
Not the same one as that.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just a good name.
Yep. But you are right. I forgot that was used before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so next up we have one of my favorite books coming out. This is She-Hulk. Great cover here, Jen Bartel cover. This is She-Hulk number 4. And she's palling around with Ben Grimm. So she got a phone call at the end of the last issue saying that Ben Grimm had run into some legal trouble. that had to do with Lockjaw, Black Bolt's dog that he was in charge of for a little while. But he missed his court date because he was out in space saving the universe. And so he comes to Jennifer Walters for some legal advice. That's just part of this issue. What I like about this series is it is very, I don't say it's very lighthearted, but it's very real. Characters have very real conversations. It's not all like super heroics all the time. So that's part of it is she goes out and has lunch with him and talks about this. But then what's the other thing that she's been doing? She has started a super-powered fight club to relieve stress with her and Titania from, I believe they did that in the first issue. And they've actually started a little thing where Titania is bringing some of her friends. And Ben Grimm catches, he checks them out doing that. And he's like, oh, why don't you invite me to join? So it looks like that her little fight club is getting bigger as they're just a bunch of people palling around wrestling in the dirt. But the big storyline in this is what is up with Jack of Hearts. He was supposed to be dead. He's returned. He doesn't have any memory. He doesn't even know why he sought out She-Hulk in the first place, but she's determined to figure out what's going on with him. And this is a big issue for him about kind of exploring what he remembers, his very loose memories that he has of when he came back to life, and just kind of a very personal story between him and She-Hulk, which was great. There's not a ton of action in this book other than just their fun fight club, but I think it still works really well. You hear, does Jennifer Walters prefer to be in human form or She-Hulk form, and why? I think that was a very interesting conversation in this. But it ends with someone calling She-Hulk out, or Jack of Hearts out, you'll have to see. And we'll have to find out who that is in the next issue. But great issue of She-Hulk. Just another really fun, very personal story. We've got some variants for this as well. We have the Spider-Man 60th anniversary with She-Hulk as Spider-Hulk. This is the Chrissy Zulo variant. And then we've got this great one, another Dodderman, where he draws a whole bunch of character versions.
Yeah, I like those.
It's fun to look at them and be like, oh, when did she wear that? Or what's this? Or I remember that. So you see her as Fantastic Four. You see her in her, I believe, Avengers suit up at the top when she was kind of gray and had like the glowing green cuts on her. Very cool. I think a lot of people will be wanting that one.
Okay, so I read Spider-Man 2099 Exodus number 3. In this, you get the first appearance of the Avengers 2099. So previously we had first appearance of Winter Soldier 2099, then we had Loki 2099. This is Avengers 2099. Now some of these characters I don't think have ever been seen in the 2099 universe. Others have, like Hulk 2099, we know him.
Yep.
But this Avengers team is brought back to life and sort of led by Moon Knight. He at least kind of assembles them. So we'll grant him leadership for this mission because there is a Captain America on this team. Let me tell you who the team consists of, which I think is pretty interesting. I mean, just knowing the names, that's not that much of a spoiler because you're going to want to see who they are because a lot of these are not the characters from the past. Some of these are characters I've never seen before. So the new Avengers team for 2099, it is Moon Knight, Hulk, Captain America, Wave, Captain Marvel, Arrow, Black Panther, and it seems like Spider-Man 2099 is now sort of an official member too. And they go up against a villain team called the Masters, who consists of Baron Zemo, Enchantress, Radioactive Man, and Melter. This issue is a big fight between these teams. Pretty much the Masters were being utilized by the new Green Goblin to try to secure this area where the Celestial fell. And Spider-Man 2099, with the help of Moon Knight 2099, reassemble the Avengers, and it's just a big brawl. So, pretty cool issue, a lot for me to look at. This one took me a while to get through because I stopped on every character trying to figure out who I knew, who I didn't. But new Avengers team, first appearance in the 2099 universe, and many of those characters were new to those roles I had never seen before.
Is it the female Captain America?
Yes, yes, it
Yeah,
is.
she's from that previous one, but she is a very interesting character.
And so for variants, we have the Ron Lim and Silva variant. And then we have another of the Ken
Yay.
Lashley variants with the cool bordering.
Very cool. Okay, so next up I have an interesting one. I feel like I've been following this, which is a book I don't normally read, Buffy, but this one's just kind of been all over the place, and so I thought I would try and explain it now. So this is Buffy 97. This was originally solicited as being written by Max Bemis and about the cast of Buffy. They were going to be on set and then got attacked by vampires and had to use kind of their knowledge of their characters to defeat the vampires. This has changed significantly into what we have now. So this is an oversized issue. This is now by Jeremy Lambert. It's a one-shot, and in this, it's hard to tell if they kept the same idea with Buffy and Willow and everything being on a show. There is little bits where I thought maybe it's still that, but it's not 100% sure because they have the same names from the show. But at one point, it seems like Buffy is she's kind of freaked out seeing something that should, for the regular Buffy, be pretty normal. But in this, they're in the mall shopping. They hear there's going to be a fashion show. But what happens when Buffy and Willow get sucked into the fashion magazine and you see them go through different ads and stuff and maybe use stuff from the ads to fight the ultimate villain? So, turned into a very different book. It was still fun, but I feel like this book has been on a journey and maybe didn't end up being what people originally thought it was going to be. But if you're a Buffy fan, I still recommend it. The art is great. Very kind of lighthearted, fun, goofy story. Feels very 97 Buffy. So, if you're a fan of Buffy, I still recommend it, but maybe it's not what you thought it was going to be. We have some variants for this as well. Let's see. We have the Kate's Hutchison variant. See, this is where it looks like they're on the set and there's cameras and everything, which doesn't reflect what's going on the inside. We have the Ganichu variant.
Clearly a Scream homage.
Scream homage. And then we have this 1 in 10 Yoshitani variant that we're selling to our customers for $10.
Okay, so I read Detective Comics issue 1061. Who do we have on the cover here? We got Batman smooching Talia al Ghul. But how can that be?
Smooching.
I mean, she is in jail, and when she's out, they tend to fight more than smooch, from what I've seen. So this, first off, I want to say this is the last issue for this particular creative team before Ram V takes over with the Detective Comics that a lot of people have seen in the news and that we talked about in Comics from the Future on Friday, where it looks more operatic and more demon / operatic inspired Detective Comics. I can't wait to see where that goes. So this is the finale for this creative team. And in this, what does Talia al Ghul have to do with the Riddler and his plans that have been going on? Like, why is she on this cover? It will make a lot more sense when you read it. But also, how does it link back with Arkham Tower? All of it links back there, which I shouldn't have been surprised about because, I mean, that was such a major arc for this team that they were already spreading little seeds that were going to grow even into this sort of finale. So you have those two things to look forward to. The Riddler has been asking his riddle of when is a murderer not a murderer, and when is a hero not a hero? And you will get the end of that riddle by the end of this issue, which
Oh, good. It's been keeping me up at night.
There's also the backup story with Gotham Girl that comes to its closure. That also has a surprise appearance from Talia al Ghul as well.
Wow.
It seems like the minute she's arrested, she's in more things than ever. So, but more on her when we get to Robin later on, when I review Robin.
Part 2 of your review that continues on in another book.
Yeah, Talia, she's got things going on. So, of course, we have the Bermejo variant. And then we have the 1 in 25 McDermott variant that we're selling to our customers for $20.
Okay, next up we have our next installment of Batman Beyond the White Knight. This is Beyond the White Knight number 4. Another fun entry into Batman Beyond the White Knight. Not a whole lot to say if you haven't been reading the book. We do get some really cool stuff with Duke Thomas coming in as Robin in this. Very cool costume. We also feel like it's important to note, so they're coming out with White Knight presents Red Hood. I don't remember. I think it's just a one shot. I don't think it's a miniseries, but this leads directly into that. So I'm not sure how issue 5 of this is going to be, but at least at the end of this, it says the story continues in the Red Hood special. So don't miss out on that. Tell your store if you're reading this that you want that, because it looks like that's going to just continue this story. It'll be interesting to see how this is collected if they shove the Red Hood right there where it's supposed to be red. But this is just a warning that you need to, if you're reading this, pick up the Red Hood issue also. Pretty cool. And what's been up with Dick Grayson? That is another really fun part of this book. We also have a variant for it. A lot of people are talking about this variant. This is the Robin variant with Duke Thomas in his new Robin garb. And we have the 1 in 25 Joel Jones variant that we are selling to our customers for $25. Interesting to see Joel Jones do Joker.
Yeah. Okay, so I read Venom Lethal Protector number 3. So the first thing I'll say is there are certain sites that are reporting that Venom gets a new outfit and new powers in this. That is not correct. You'll be disappointed if you purchase this for that reason. In fact, so in this issue, many things happen, but I think where the confusion lies is Eddie Brock is given an offer by the Life Foundation. They have a way that they claim they can fix Venom's sensitivity to sonic waves. And so they try it out, and it has comical side effects that make Venom look wildly different. You'll have to read it to see what happens. And so it's a joke, you know, and this doesn't last. This is definitely like a moment you're supposed to laugh, but somehow it got reported as new powers and new costumes.
If that stuck around, I think people would be very upset.
Yeah, I showed Andy. I was like, hey, I've read that people are saying this. Look at what it really is. But it does have a real story going on in it where he gets that offer made by the Life Foundation. In return, he is supposed to be their sort of muscle for hire, which he doesn't want to do. But he needs this. He needs to have protection from Sonic because he wants to go get Spider-Man, and Spider-Man knows the weakness. So basically, Life Foundation gives him 1 week to go take care of Spider-Man, do what he wants, and then he has to work for them. So you'll have to read to see how all that turns out. The other thing that's cool in it is a character that many of you may know him by name, you may not, but the character Chance, the villain Chance from he's the cover of Amazing Spider-Man 298, 299. He's the guy with the guns just firing all the bullets on those 2 very iconic covers that led up to issue 300. He is in this, and him and Venom have sort of a literal run-in. So kind of cool to see him in that. So that's what's going on in Venom Lethal Protector number 3. And here is the Kyle Hotz variant.
It's just so wet.
Yep. It's like Venom is a big slobbery dog. And he's so happy he just got home. Just got home from work.
Okay, next up I have... I get the full title. This is Mech Strike Monster Hunters from Marvel. There was a Marvel Mech Strike series, I guess about a year ago or so. This is the follow-up to that. And as you can see, the Avengers have their mech suits. But what happens when villains show up, and they're not mech suits, but they are giant kaiju-like monsters. Really cool. Green Goblin and various other ones as just giant hideous monsters. And the mechs, not too good up against them. So they decide they got to fight fire with fire and enlist the help of Doctor Strange to make them mech monster suits.
Yeah, it's called they get monsterized.
Which is just as, you know, the art team and whoever designed them was just having a blast of like, okay, make them mechs. Okay, now make those mechs monsters. So just really fun. I think there's even the toy line out for this right now at Walmart and Target. And you see it's those characters. So you've got Doctor Doom as a giant monster. And then to see the Avengers as monsters too is a lot of fun. This is just a fun, like, turn your brain off story. Doesn't affect continuity. Just watch these giant things just, you know, sock each other. Really cool. We've got variants as well. We have the Yoon variant. And we have the Sue variant.
All right, so I read Harley Quinn issue number 16. So check out the cover. You have the villain, The Verdict, who is pretty much being the monkey on Harley Quinn's back. You know, that's what she's doing. She's on her, she won't get off her, and that's a lot of what's been going on in the story. This was a really good issue. I really think the Harley Quinn series, like, any of you that, like, fell off it, if it was for story reasons, I think this creative team has really hit their stride in the last lot of issues. The art, it's up to if you like that style or not. But in this is the Verdict's origin tale. And it is told very well. You get to find out exactly who she is, who she was, what did Harley do to her to make her hate her so much that she is framing her for these crimes where she is killing people and scooping out their eyes. It's all explained in this issue. But what I think is great is, as they're telling this origin story, which is pretty tragic, Harley has a big part of it. Okay? She's not like, oh, she just bumped into her once. She is in this a lot, in this backstory, and she is being so funny and annoying. It's just the way you want Harley, where this is somebody else's tale, and it's a great tale, but she's still kind of stealing the spotlight with her ridiculousness that you can't help but laugh at, and you can't help but like her and want her to win, even when her actions are pretty awful to this person. So I really enjoyed this one. It was a great origin story for The Verdict, and I think this is all going to lead up to next issue where they have their sort of final throwdown. So we have some cool variants on this. We have, of course, the obligatory Derek Chew variant. We always sell a lot of these.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone who's been getting them just wants the next one, the next one. The one after this is one of the ones where you, like, turn it sideways.
Yeah.
It looks really good. Here is the Coipel variant, which looks great as well for Pride Month. And then there's the 1 in 25 Teo variant that we're selling to our customers for $20.
Okay, next up we have, yes, it is finally here, the final issue of Batman Catwoman. This is number 12.
That's a long time coming.
So this book was originally announced 3 years ago. The first issue came out 2 years ago. That's a long time for 12 issues. So what happens in the final issue? Does this cover actually happen? You know, I don't need to get into the Batman wedding debacle.
The Batman number 50.
Yeah. But if you know, this is the continuation, basically, of Tom King's run on Batman. So this is the story, and I'm not even sure if this is in I mean, I don't think this is in continuity anymore. I think this is in Tom King's continuity of Batman. If you were just to continue reading that, where it would go to. I will say, there is a wedding. It does involve Batman and Catwoman, Bruce Wayne and Selena Kyle. Does it look like this? No. Because, they tried to have the big wedding. It didn't work out. So they try something else out. But the fun part is, who is the person marrying them? You'll have to read it to find out. But finally coming to a close. This will be good to read all in one big volume or something, because it's been so long since issue 1. Kind of forgotten some of the early pieces that were in this, but wraps up all the stories. So, and you have this really nice wraparound cover with all the different versions of Batman and Catwoman. And it does have variants, but we are out of them.
Okay, so also out from Marvel this week, if you didn't get enough Tony Stark with people in the Iron Cat, you have Iron Man and Hellcat, a whole different sort of cat. So this is Iron Man and Hellcat annual, which really this is the annual to Iron Man's current running series, which Hellcat is in a whole lot. In fact, he's already proposed to her twice. This follows those proposals, and this is much more of a Hellcat story. In fact, I would say this is much more of a Patsy Walker story. This goes into the fact that Patsy Walker has been a comic book character for ages.
Yeah.
Before Tony Stark. Patsy Walker has been in comics so long, way before she was Hellcat. She just had her own thing as Patsy Walker.
Mm-hmm.
And so after she has turned Tony down for the second time, which already happened, that's not this issue, she is going back to her old family home, which she has inherited, and she's met there by her old friend Hetty. And Hetty, once again, is one of these old characters who's always been her friend. And they go into this house, and this house, of course, holds a lot of memories. But worse than that, it holds the hell part of her Hellcat name.
Oh, gosh.
She has previously been married 2 different times, I believe, and at least one was to Damian Hellstrom. She has a lot of ties with Hell stuff, and with Mephisto coming up in the Avengers titles, there might be a little bit of a battle over Patsy Walker. Let's just say this is a horror issue. This is a flat-out horror issue. She goes to an old house with a lot of memories from her past. She's already not feeling great, and then she has these dreams that drag her into hell, and it's not the sort of thing where Tony Stark's going to show up and save her. She has to save herself. So really cool annual. I just want people to know what to expect. If you're looking forward to them hanging out or Tony Stark being in a lot, that's not it. It really is more of a Patsy Walker book, but done really well. So good one shot, although I do think some of the ramifications we may see in some of the upcoming stuff with Mephisto. And so we have some variants.
This one's awesome.
Is the Art Germ variant. Yep. She's slicing the page. Not just Wolverine does that. The Hellcat can do it too. And then here is the Momoko variant. Then this is the
Zulu.
Yeah, this is the Zulu variant. I kind of like this one. It's really funny. In the Catverse, this is what they would look like. And that's it. Those are the 3 variants.
I think Patsy Walker deserves a lot more credit. She's been around longer than the majority of Marvel characters, and I feel like people don't really realize that.
And she's one of the few that transitioned into a hero with powers.
And and lasted and stayed and everything. So she's had a very interesting career. Okay, next up, just quickly, we've got Spawn Scorched. This is number 7. Just wanted to show it off. As you can see on the cover, this is a big issue for She-Spawn. And in this, we see Plague Spawn, who appeared way back earlier in Spawn from a few years ago, makes a big play, and you kind of see what his deal is and what he's being used for. So this is our A cover for Scorched, and we have our awesome Matina cover with Medieval Spawn.
All right, so I read Captain America, Symbol of Truth, #2. Now check that out. On the cover, Sam Wilson's hanging out with Deadpool. You don't really see these two together
What?
too often. So in this, Sam Wilson continues his investigation into who is trying to produce super soldier serum. And through a series of events, he ends up running into Deadpool, who's on a separate mission, and it turns out their missions kind of link together somewhat. Meanwhile, you have Falcon, who is Joaquin Torres. He is trying to protect the immigrants that they discovered that were on the train from previous issue, and of course, he's trying to unearth secrets about that, which he finds his own set of problems. Meanwhile, you got the villains. White Wolf and Crossbones, who are doing their machinations from the sidelines. So, sort of a story told 3 different angles, which is all leading to next issue, where it looks like Sam Wilson is going to end up on trial in probably the worst country you could end up on trial on in the Marvel Universe.
Yeah.
Don't think our world, think the Marvel Universe's version of the world. So that's generally what's going on in Captain America, Symbol of Truth, #2. And we have this Manahini Hellfire Gala variant.
It's looking sharp.
He's looking swank. He brought the Falcon, too.
Too bad the Falcon doesn't have a little bow tie on or something. It's a missed opportunity. Okay, next is a big issue for Sonic the Hedgehog and Sonic fans. This is issue 50 of Sonic the Hedgehog. But for something so big, who is that on the cover? So this is very deep into the storyline that's going on with Sonic the Hedgehog. So I will not tell you the entire story, just what's kind of the big thing in this. There is 2 new characters that get sent out that are kind of the not the opposite, but kind of a good foil for Sonic and Tails, and that would be the foil for Tails, which is Kitsunami, emphasis on tsunami, and Surge the Tenrec, which I did not look up if a Tenrec is a real thing, but I also didn't know that Echidna was a real thing until I learned more about Knuckles, so could be a real thing. But this is Surge right here on the cover. So I believe this is their first appearances, unless they appeared like in a cameo or something, but this is where they really come out, say their names, and face off against Sonic and Tails. So there's a lot of covers for this. This is an oversized issue. That was our A cover. This one's really cool. This is by Gray. You've got to really look at this one. There's a lot of characters on that.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's kind of even pulls off some of that Marvel border idea. We have the Roethlisberger variant. We have the Thomas variant. We have the video game Sakaria variant. We got all the best friends hanging out. This is the Stanley variant. Just love when you just cram a bunch of characters on a cover. Then we have this 1 in 10 Fordrine variant. We're selling to our customers for $10.
About to be a big collision there.
Yeah, and this is a big one. This is, we put a lot of work into figuring out prices and everything, but so this one seems to be pretty rare. This is the 1 in 25 Hess variant, and we are selling this one for $135. It's a big one, but it's cool. It's got like the so many of Sonic's like kind of walk animations and everything on it with the 50 there. So very cool.
All right, so I read Robin issue 15. This has a lot of stuff going on in it, but let's check out the cover. It's a little family photo, but there seems to be a dagger stuck in Batman's chest. And that dagger looks like the sort that maybe Talia might have. So in this, Talia, of course, was arrested at the end of Shadow War. And we get more on that. We get to see where she is, who's holding her, her interrogation, what they may have in mind with her. But can they really hold the daughter of the demon? I will say by the end of this issue, Talia might have a new sort of title and position that you'll have to find out about, which sounds pretty cool, and I can't wait to see where they go with that. So meanwhile, Damian finally kind of has it out with his parents. That is, of course, Bruce Wayne Batman and Talia al Ghul. And as far as has it out, as far as who he wants to be with, if either one, it's a really good scene. That's what I will say. It's written really well. It's really cool to see what he has to say and what his choice is and where that goes. Another thing that happens in the book is we return to Lazarus Island where the tournament happened, and some of the characters from the tournament we haven't seen in a while are still there. In fact, it looks like they're turning the island into a new base, and it's almost like a new little team is starting to build.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I was really happy to see that because I liked all the tournament stuff and those characters a lot. Lastly, there's a surprise ending as a certain character shows up claiming that somebody near and dear to Robin is going on a crazy rampage and asking Robin and them for help. So can't wait to see where this goes next issue. Just a packed full issue of Robin. I enjoyed every bit of it. So if you've been reading this one, I think you're going to enjoy it as much as I have. That is what is going on in there. So we have just this one variant, or two variants for it actually. This is the Yoshi Pride variant. Damian and Connor Hawke. And then here is the 1 in 25 Fosillo variant. We're selling to our customers for $20.
That one's fine.
Yeah.
Can't wait till if their relationship keeps going, they have to meet the parents. Flatline has to meet the parents and come over for dinner and all that. We need all that relationship stuff. Okay, so next up I have... This is Power Rangers Unlimited Countdown to Ruin #1. I'll just say I've not got a chance to read this yet, but I did enough research and looking into it to see this appears to be a one-shot. Looks like it involves a lot of the characters from Power Rangers in space. So if you are reading Power Rangers, your store may not pull this one for you considering it's a one-shot. It's got a separate name. And a lot of the Power Rangers miniseries and one-shots sell out really fast. We have people coming in later asking about them. So make sure to pick this up if you're reading the current Power Ranger series. We also have a variant for that one. This is the 1 in 10 Valerio variant, just kind of the version of the main one that we are selling to our customers for $10. And we also have this super cool one. This is the 1 per store Montez variant that we're selling for $10. It's amazing. There's so many Power Rangers. You can keep doing these helmet covers that I think have been going since issue 1 of IDW's Power Rangers.
All right, so I read Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles issue 130. So this is still leading into the Armageddon game. And in this one, the fight between the Turtles and the Punk Frogs kind of come to a head. You also have Venus de Milo having to make her choice of which team she wants to more align herself with. Because as it turns out, this was from the last few issues, Venus was originally a punk frog, and some mad scientists turned her into a turtle, but also sort of erased her memory. So, real tough choice on her. We also get more on her mystical powers. She has some sort of mystical powers, and a little bit more is revealed about that. Meanwhile, you have the Rat King, who's in it just a little, still doing things in the shadow that are going to lead into this whole Armageddon game that's coming up, the big turtle event of this year, which is going to start soon. But lastly, towards the end, Shredder shows up at the turtle base. He no longer goes by Shredder. He goes by his regular name, and he has news to deliver to the turtles. Looks like sort of a peace offering of news. So looking forward to seeing where this is going. I saw the cover for the next issue, and it looks like Shredder out in the woods sort of training with the turtles. So it's
a hard thing for them, I'm sure. They've been through a lot.
Yeah, I mean, and what could cause that union to forge
Yeah.
at all? So here is the Kevin Eastman variant, and then we have the 1 in 10 Frank variant. We're selling for $20.
It looks like one of the best characters, Ground Chuck, appears in that. The bull, the like cyborg bull guy. So such fun Ninja Turtles characters. I love they're using all of them. Okay, next up I have this new one from Chip Zdarsky. He is doing the writing and art. So this is it's funny, you look at it and it looks very much like Sex Criminals, with him doing the art in it. But this is way less adult. It's still adult, but not to that level. Um, I didn't get to read this as in depth as I would have liked to. There was a lot this week, but uh, from what I read, like halfway through it, it is about a man who is a comic creator, and he creates probably one of this world's most popular superheroes. But how does that affect his family? What is his family's relationship to like his kids with their dad, but also with this character he created? It's taken up a lot of their lives, and it's become a big part of their family. Is kind of being associated with this character he created. It also deals with comic creators and like big business media Hollywood. So this is definitely comes from a place that Zdarsky knows very well about. He even says in one of the articles about it about how much comic creators are undervalued and underpaid. And then he goes on to say, and I wrote this. So pretty funny. But if you like stuff like that, that's kind of about the comic book industry, this seems like it's going to be really good. I can't wait to actually sit down and read the whole thing. And just the one cover for public domain.
All right, one I'm going to go over pretty fast is patch number 3 is out. So this was delayed. Those of you who are reading and enjoying this, I hope you haven't forgot that what's going on in it. There is a little catch you up explanation at the beginning of this. I did look through it though, because I did enjoy the previous ones. I just didn't have a chance to spend as much time with it as I wanted. There's a really cool scene I saw in this where it's him back in the Weapon X program, and the spirit, it's like the mental projection of Jean Grey is there helping him, and he's like, how is this possible? Like, I didn't even know you. I was like a creature. I can't talk. And Jean Grey is like explaining to him how time isn't a straight line, it's a circle. And that scene really piqued my interest. I'm looking forward to reading the entire thing. But Wolverine Patch number 3 is out as of Wednesday. And then check this out. We just did the turtle stuff, but here is a variant by Kevin Eastman.
Could fit right together. That could be a crossover. Okay, so next up is another public service announcement type book. This is Transformers Fate of Cybertron. This is a one-shot. And why is this important? This is deluxe size, oversized. This is the end of Transformers at IDW. This is what wraps up years and years of story is this issue. So, it's funny because it is not just, a issue of Transformers in the regular numbering. So, if you've been reading it for so long, you don't want to miss this one. You probably already know about it, but this does wrap up the storylines and kind of gives a close to the characters, at least at IDW. It's got a very nice message at the end from kind of the team at IDW at Transformers. And you have some of fan favorite artists from the entire series coming back to do a few pages each. So very cool. Very sad to see them ending, but I'm excited to see where the Transformers will show up next. We also have this variant for it that I put up here. This is the 1 in 10 Milne variant that we're selling to our customers for $10.
All right, this Wednesday, Berserker number 9 is out and on sale. So only 3 issues to go after this one. In this issue, because of the experiment they had B do last issue, you get to see where he's at. He's in who knows where land. But because of them sending him there, he goes berserk. I'm not
With
trying
no
to make a joke, but
vowels.
yeah, spelled the regular way. But this time it's in modern day. We've seen him and what he can do in the past. Well, he does it in our time. Can this military base that's trying to hold him stop him? And at the same time, can his doctor glean anything from him when he is in this crazed state? A lot of killing and maiming and blood in this issue, as there has been in many of the other ones. And so here are all the variants for us. So that of course was your main cover by Garney. Here is the foil version of that. So this is the Garney foil version. Then we have the yes. Here is the Mundo variant. There's also the foil Mundo variant. I think the foils are just like $1 more.
Mm-hmm.
You get them all shiny. Then, of course, there's the Virgin one, which is a 1 in 50 that we're selling for $40. Then we have the Ramos variant. This is the 1 in 10 Ramos we're selling for $10. The 1 in 75 Virgin variant for $50. And the 1 in 100 sketch of that we are selling for $75.
Berserker keeps on going.
Yep.
Okay, so lastly, this is just something that I'm pointing out. We have the corrected version of 8 Billion Genies.
Yep. All comic shops were shipped these and should have arrived this week.
So if your store did not get the last versions or they chose not to sell them, you do have this. I'm not sure if you'll be able to see on screen. If you can tell, I believe this one is the darker one. This one's the lighter one. That is the difference between them. One is slightly darker all the way through the book.
I'm seeing it the opposite way.
Are you seeing the opposite way?
Yeah.
I can't tell. I think this one's darker and this one's lighter. This one's darker.
Yes.
Yeah. So, is the other one going to be worth more? Who knows? Both are completely legible. One of them, the bar is dark. The other one, it is slightly more dark. It doesn't affect the reading at all. I read the other one just fine. But if you go to your store, they will have this now. So, very good issue. One of my favorite books from a week or so ago. So, don't miss out on 8 Billion Genies #2.
And it is that way through the interiors. I mean, we were just waiting to do the comparison. And the interiors, there's the scene you were talking about. They're in the bar of safety. And it just looked, when we read the original one, it was like, oh, the bar is a little dim. Well, that makes sense. It's sort of apocalyptic what's going on. Well, in the other one, it's much brighter in there. It's not like a well-lit room, but it is, they definitely printed it too dark, but it did not hinder reading it at all. And honestly, we would have never known, except that we were told. And now we have this other, batch of copies that I think most of our customers were quite happy with the original. So I don't know what we'll be doing with all these. The last thing I have to talk about, which I don't have much to say, is I did not get a chance to read this, but I just want everyone to know that Image Comics Sins of the Black Flamingo #1 is going to be out this Wednesday. Didn't you leaf through this a little bit?
I leafed through it, yeah. It's about this kind of super thief called the Black Flamingo. He goes in and steals magical artifacts for people. He's kind of no morals. He doesn't care. But it looks like at the end there is some kind of supernatural element thrown in there. So.
Okay. Well, anyway, that was 30 different books that we went over combined, and all the variants and all. So those of you who watched this entire thing, thanks for hanging in there. You will be way less confused when you go in the store as far as what each book is about and what's going on. We tried to tell you the major points to them. We try to keep it brief while still doing the books justice. So if you're watching on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button. That way you don't miss any of our videos. We've been doing this for a long time. We're some of the only people who do it this way and who do it this often and this early. So again, thank you for watching, and we hope you have enjoyed yourself. We will be back on Friday with Megan for Comics from the Future, where we'll talk about upcoming books that you can order. So until then, have a great week.